Can you give us an overview of your industry and the competitive landscape in it?
We are probably the only operator. In fact, I think I'm right in saying we are the biggest accident repair management business on a global basis. Having said that, we tend to also focus very hard on what I would describe as high levels of recurring revenue. What we're trying to do here is we have a machine in our services business, which as we add more volume to it, becomes more efficient. But at the same time, we want to make it more efficient as we go along. And we do that through the use of technology. We also sell that technology into the market to insurance carriers if they want to do it by themselves. So, a lot of insurance carriers don't want to have a services company do it for them. They want to actually process stuff themselves. But broadly, we are aiming to get very long-term relationships with the big insurance carriers and on their behalf, basically drive levels of efficiency on a consolidated basis that they can't drive. Now, that may sound a little arrogant, but actually, in fact, we are like 2 or 3 very large insurance carriers in terms of volume, bolted back to back. So we do have big worldwide volumes. We have big opportunities, therefore, to purchase parts, paint, and so on and so forth, if we're talking about motor. And in that sense, our national networks, where we don't own the repairers, we run a repairer network in every geography we operate in mostly in every case in motor, but in some cases now property, and we do see a big opportunity in property. That's the basis of our strategic advantage. We build that repair network, we make it the best in geography, we make it as efficient as we possibly can through the use of technology, and then we hand those advantages to the insurance carriers who want to work with us.
And is it easy to say how much of each geography's market you have?
Oh yes, no, absolutely. I think our market share in the segments we work in motor is very high in each geography. I mean, in most geographies we're number one. In some senses that gives us an advantage because we've become a volume supplier and the repair facilities like all of that. But the other thing I would say is it gives us a big advantage in terms of cash generation. The business is deliberately structured so that we are not taking any risk of any sort, and basically as the job is completed we get paid at the same time as the repairer. So our administration fees, if you will, for running that claims process is pretty well guaranteed. So when you see our financial results, our internal cash generation target is 85% of EBITDA. Obviously the business is growing, so there's a month or 6 weeks or so of cash generation that's never going to appear. That's that 15%. But broadly, we are driving very high levels of cash gen.
And to increase your market share, is that done mostly organically or is part of it acquisitive? Of course, you have been filling in segments, but in areas you already operate in.
Yes, and it's also a lot to do with cross-selling. Where we have bought a business which has a set of clients that we don't currently service for our services or technology business, obviously we're trying to cross-sell into them. But I would say that our organic growth, if you take our revenue growth target for the next 5 years, we put that out into the market, by the way, so it's well understood, between 10 and 15%. I would say roughly 50-50 is organic and inorganic. We do generate a lot of cash. We're deploying that cash ourselves to buy businesses on a segment basis in geography and so on. So it's a fairly predictable engine room platform. And at the same time, I would say, we've worked hard to get our gradient. The last 4 years, we've been extremely successful in achieving that right level of growth, right level of adjusted profit, right level of cash generation. And I think we can maintain that for a considerable period to come. I don't think that's a risk in any sense. It's quite rare to find a business like this here in Europe that's actually able to work away at being good in Australia, South Africa and the US as well. The US is a big ambition for us in 2015.
Is there much difference between each geography in terms of legally, in terms of sort of culture of claiming for repairs?
Oh, sure. Yeah. And we work best in well-regulated markets, so we don't want uninsured drivers. That's not something we want at all, right? So well-regulated markets where levels of fraud can be carefully controlled. We do a lot of that in our own in-house process, where the barriers to entry in terms of the various tax regimes or legislative things are baked into our systems as we open up in that geography. Frankly, in our geographies, we've got a tremendous amount of market we can still go at, particularly in property. We see property as very greenfield. essentially, when we get to the final end game, 4 or 5 years out, in motor we will be in accident repair management, warranty and service. In property we will be in dry and wet perils around the world.
At the end of 2015, as I understand it, you yourself will be close to moving on.
Yep.
Can you tell us any more about plans at the top level of the company?
This has been a fabulous 4 or 5 years, and I've loved every minute of it, but I'm getting a little long in the tooth. And I think once the business this year has been structured into those 2 areas, services and technology, we will be recruiting a new chairman as we go through this year, through this financial year. And as we're doing that, I think the incoming chairman will make his own decisions about how he wants to structure the organisation. But as I see it, 2015, I think for us will be a crack-off year. I think we'll have a very good year.
Excellent. And is there anything in particular an investor ought to look out for, do you think, personally?
Well, with us, always deal flow. I mean, whenever we're closing important new clients, and we do put that out through RNSs into the market, sometimes it gets a little complicated because the clients don't want to be named for competitive reasons, but we do announce those. That's our policy, to make sure that if we've got something which we think is price sensitive, we put it out there straight away. And so I just watch the headlines over the coming months, and what we're winning, you'll see straight away.
Great. Well, we'll look forward to the rest of the year with interest.
Yeah.
Andy, thank you very much. And if you'd like any more information, please do look at the Edison website.